Welcome back, everybody. In my previous video, I was talking about how to get your certifications, and there was a user request came in. So one of my viewers asked, can you please talk about how you aggregate, how you learn in bulk when you have these certifications, right? So first thing I need to do is explain what each of these certifications is and where, in my opinion, it falls into the scope of certificates themselves. So of course, when you start your journey into AWS, you're going to start here with the Cloud Practitioner certificate, right? So the Cloud Practitioner certificate is looking for 6 months of experience. 6 months of experience means you have to have actual hands-on experience in some kind of fashion, right? You have to either be technical or non-technical, but your job needs to include the knowledge of AWS. They will be asking you very, very shallow depth as far as questions are concerned. Things like, what does EC2 do? If you wanted to run a container in the cloud, which service would you choose, right? And that is a good way of first getting a good coverage of all services, getting a good understanding of all services, and then of course also testing yourself whether that understanding of services is at the level you want it to be. The Cloud Practitioner also gives you a good insight into how AWS exams work, because all exams will be like the Cloud Practitioner exam, except they're going to go higher in the level of knowledge that's required to pass them. Now, having a bit of hands-on experience, like for example, logging into the console and doing a few simple things, is definitely beneficial to Cloud Practitioner. 6 months experience, when I said, if you can at least go into the console and you can, browse around it and deploy some services and understand what those services do, that's the level of understanding that's required to pass this one. Now, I've grouped these certs sort of into relationship-based groups, right? So the first associate certificate that I would recommend for everybody is the SysOps Administrator Associate. I might have moved it. I should have maybe moved it a little bit more to the middle, but honestly, it's a great certificate to get when you are looking for admin work, if you're looking to understand a whole wide range of AWS and just do the basic admin, right? SysOps, you need to know monitoring, you need to know all kinds of different features as far as each service is concerned, right? But you don't really need to know how the service needs to be configured to a very, very high level of detail. You just need to know basic stuff. I have a book on that. It's the Certified SysOps Admin Guide. It's it's packed with a lot of stuff. And what I do is I made it for a beginner. So, right, you're gonna have a lot of tutorials in the book itself, right? There's a lot of tutorials. So basically, if you are a beginner in AWS and you're looking to go to that level, I would definitely recommend a SysOps book. It's a really good way to start. Now, you don't need to buy my book. If you like, if you want to support me and of course support these videos that I do, then of course my book would be a good recommendation. Otherwise, there are other books out there that maybe are more focused. I did it as like a something you can keep on your desk and open up and go like, oh, how do I configure this service? And you've got all the steps to configure that service. So as a SysOps admin, you're going to be doing a lot of things in the console, and the console is very, very useful for things like monitoring, for visualization of data, for searching and sifting through logs. It's not a service that should be used to deploy production. So that's why you got the solutions architect here. The solutions architect here focuses more on having the knowledge to deploy, having the knowledge to build solutions. It goes into a little bit more detail about how to design your environment. Not how to operate a running environment, but how to actually design what the best principles are for security, for cost optimization, for reliability, scalability and operational excellence, right? So essentially, it looks at the well architected framework, and the AWS well architected framework is also a big part of this exam. Now, the associate tier requires a year's worth of experience. That's the recommended experience level. I'm not saying you need to stick to these recommendations that AWS has, but honestly, if you have a year's worth of experience in AWS, then it should be much easier for you to pass any of these exams. Remember, you don't need to pass any exam certifications to be able to start working with AWS. All you need is a phone number, an email address, and a credit card, right? All right. On the other hand, sort of opposite polar is the developer associate tier. So developer associate, this exam is very much focused on knowing features that you'll use as a developer, like the SDK, and there's a lot of CLI understanding in there also. I don't have my developer associate book yet because it's going to be released in at the end of this month. There's a little bit of a delay due to the COVID situation, so it was going to be released April 7th, but of course things got prolonged, and we're still waiting for that release. It is available for pre-order on Amazon.com. I put a ton of different examples of code. I put in CLI examples. There's code written in Java. There's code written in Python. There's code written in .NET or C#. There's code written in JavaScript, Node.js. So all kinds of different examples in there. There's also a lot of CLI examples in there, how to configure the services before you start using them, because that will be, that's a good example of how you build your code on top of that. With the developer associate, it's more focused on using the managed services, right? Using services where you're going to send up an API call and a service will pop up, right? And then you're going to populate that. Now, one thing to remember, the associate solutions architect, you can get the same knowledge out of the same book, right? These are very much related to each other. And if you have an architect book or if you have a SysOps book, they very much overlap. The well-architected framework is not covered in my book, right? My book will not cover well-architected framework because SysOps admins do not need a well-architected framework, and a SysOps book will cover well-architected framework. But all the services that are crucial in the book itself are in the book itself. So EC2, DynamoDB, RDS, SQS, SNS, etc. Right? All of these services. This is the first one that I would study in bulk for, the solutions architect and the SysOps admin, right? That's why what I said, I like to study in bulk, where I take 2 different exams and I study for them in one session so that I cut down my time on studying. Now, you can study for the developer also, but the developer will have much more software sort of focused questions than the SysOps and the Solutions Architect Associate. Next, we've got the professional tier, and I've mixed it here a little bit with some specialities, right? I think that some of these specialities don't necessarily fit higher above the professional tier. So if you're a developer or if you're a SysOps admin, then your next stage will be Devops Engineer. Now, Devops Engineer focuses a lot on CI/CD, on automation, on making sure that you have understanding of which services you can use, how to use them. It also talks a lot about security. Okay, so when you're at the DevOps tier, you're gonna have to understand security. That is a crucial factor, because even though we have the term DevSecOps, I don't subscribe to that term myself. To me, if you're not doing security in DevOps, you're not doing security, right? You're not even doing DevOps. And of course, people say, oh, but DevSecOps, it's more about doing DevOps in security. Again, if you're building an application and if you're doing DevOps, that's includes security. That has to include security. Your security people have to be a part of your DevOps process. Even if you have a special separate department, doing DevOps in security and then not doing DevOps everywhere else, I don't know. Maybe that makes sense to somebody, not to me personally. All right. Um, let's start from the let's start from the DevOps. Yeah. Okay. So once you got the DevOps certificate, then your next step might be going for security, right? It's sort of at the same level. The security specialty and the DevOps specialty are at the same level. Now, some people say, "Oh my God, security specialty was so difficult." I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say the DevOps professional and security specialty are at about the same level, but you have to have that security underlying sort of understanding. So if you do DevOps well, you'll have that security baseline, you'll have a good foundation, and then you can go for that cert. Um, you can also go for security straight out of solutions architect. That's the recommended path. The recommended path is practitioner, solutions architect, security, right? Or as a sysops admin, you are going to need to know enough about these services to also then upgrade your knowledge with security. So security, everything sort of points to security, right? We have the ability to go from DevOps, from SysOps associate, from solutions associate, and from the solutions architect. Now, if you're going for solutions architect, I would definitely recommend having at least solutions architect associate before you go for the professional. Now, you can skip straight to the professional tier. All of these that I've put into this second layer require you to have 2 years of experience with that specific feature on AWS, right? Solutions architect, 2 years is recommended of experience on AWS. Security, 2 years working with security. DevOps, 2 years in a DevOps role. Alexa Skill Builder, building applications in AWS for 2 years. Advanced networking, again, building networks in AWS for 2 years. So this is a 2 year tier. This is a 1 year tier. This is a tier that's got 6 months recommended. Now, on top of these, we have another layer. We'll talk about that a little later. Let me finish on the solutions architect. So the solutions architect essentially is for anybody who is going to be developing, architecting advanced solutions, right? Advanced network concepts are already a part of solutions architect professional, so it ties in well with the advanced networking specialty. If you're a network engineer, that's a really good starting point also, right? You go for cloud practitioner, you jump to network specialty, and then you go for solutions architect professional if you want to upgrade your knowledge. And of course, network specialty also ties in well with security. So when I study in bulk, I would study for these three. I would study for solutions architect, security, advanced networking. These are the three bulk ones. If I'm doing DevOps engineer, I would do DevOps engineer and security. I would definitely combine these two into one bulk. Now, Alexa Skill Builder, it's an upgrade to the developer associate. It looks for you to have experience developing applications and working with Alexa and showing how you can prove your skills with Alexa. It covers some of the same area as DevOps engineers, so you might actually also study in bulk for that one at the same time, security, DevOps engineer, Alexa Skill Builder. Now, I have to say that I don't have the Alexa Skill Builder speciality. So out of these exams, I don't have the cloud practitioner. I never took the cloud practitioner. It's just there was never a business requirement in my job as an AWS instructor to have cloud practitioner. If you want me to pass the cloud practitioner, comment in this video or like it. And if there are enough comments and likes, I will definitely go and pass the cloud practitioner. Same thing with Alexa Skill Builder. I don't deliver any courses that are connected to Alexa. There is courseware that is connected to Alexa. I don't deliver it personally yet, so I haven't taken that certificate. And I'm also missing the machine learning specialty. I'm planning to pass that one on soon. I've scheduled it for May 23rd, and I'm still in the studying phase. I have about a week to go, and I don't know. I might have to reschedule because machine learning to me is sort of the most difficult exam here. You got to understand all of the math of machine learning. You got to understand all of the different algorithms that you can use. And I've been learning about machine learning for a year and a half, and I honestly, I'm struggling. I'm struggling personally. The rest of the certificates, I have them all. I recently took the Solutions Architect Associate, the database, and the Data Analytics certificate, so you can see those videos. I'm going to post the links below and tell you what I think about those certs. All right, so Alexa Skill Builder, as I said, I don't have it, but it does have some coverage of services, right? You have to sort of understand how to build your solution securely also. So you could bundle this up with your security and the DevOps if that's your track. Like if you're going from developer then to security DevOps, you can do Alexa Skill Builder also. I honestly wouldn't do it. The way I bundled my search together was Solutions Architect, Advanced Networking, and Security were one bundle. DevOps was another bundle. Solutions Architect and SysOps Associate were one bundle, and I passed the developer. As my first exam, I actually took the Developer Associate back in 2016. I studied for it specifically before I even knew about all the other certs. I just needed that as a job requirement. So I was like, okay, let's do that. Let's pass that cert. Then we have these four up here, right? I've put them in two tiers because I think that big data speciality is sort of kind of focused around both understanding databases, data analytics, and machine learning, right? As I've already said in my video, data analytics versus big data, I compared these two certs and I showed that data analytics goes into much more detail, whereas big data includes machine learning, includes database sort of kind of features, so it's kind of wider. So I've put it here as sort of the central focal point for our certs. And of course, the database specialty is now much more detailed. It goes a lot more detail into RDS, about databases. And again, I have a video on that exam, and I'll post the link to that video below in the description. Now, you can bundle all these four together, right? Right now, there's still big data. Big data is going away, so you'll have these three that you can bundle together. Database and data analytics tie in very well. They're both sort of looking for you to understand how to work with databases. And then machine learning, I put it here next to data analytics. I could have put it also up on top here. It's kind of on its own. It has some sort of features where it's got a lot of stuff that's covered with it in Python, or there's some stuff in PySpark. So it's kind of on the developer side for me personally, right? I see it also as a next step for a DevOps engineer. If you want to go into machine learning, there's a big gap. I intentionally left a big gap here. I intentionally left a big gap also here and here, right? Because this is the next tier, and this is like 2 levels up, right? And maybe I could have put data analytics under here, but I didn't want to keep it too close to the DevOps engineer. I actually should have put machine learning up on top because it's related to data analytics. It does talk about how do you filter and sift through data, but using machine learning, right? Data analytics is like using your data analytics algorithms, whereas machine learning is about using machine learning services and machine learning algorithms to do sort of similar tasks, right? This one focuses on visualization or a data warehouse or a dashboard to be the end result, whereas machine learning is like the end result of your data should be like some kind of graph or some kind of table of contents that you can choose from, a table with contents that you can like quickly analyze, and of course also visualize. There's also tools like QuickSight, which has machine learning capability inside of it, so that's also part of the machine learning exam itself. All right, I hope I haven't made this more complicated than it looks. So recap: start with Cloud Practitioner, right? After you've passed Cloud Practitioner, then you can bundle Solutions Architect and SysOps into one. Definitely books for that. I have another book coming out for developer. I'm going to put the link to that book. Then we've got the Advanced Networking, which I also have another book, Advanced Networking. Now this book assumes that you're a network engineer, that you've got the solutions architect tier. It's not as thick as the other one, right? Because this one's quite a lot of content. It's got some examples here. It also has some CLI. Let me find some CLI. Anyway, there's some CLI in here too. Questions. There we go. There's some CLI. There's some stuff in here, and of course, each of these books has a bunch of questions at the end. So you got like a couple of exams worth of questions in here. Let me just show you. So basically, you get questions, and you get questions in the data book. I wrote those questions myself, so I'm trying to make them difficult so I can challenge you and I can make you comfortable enough to pass your exam. Now, when I talk about questions, make sure you go for an environment where you get these test questions that are actually test questions that are not like brain dumps, right? These are not brain dumps. These are questions that are written to analyze whether you have the right level of understanding of the subjects, right? If you can answer these questions easily, then you'll be able to pass the exam easily. You won't get the same questions in the exam, but they will be at the same level. They will have the same coverage of services, and they will challenge you at the same level as my questions. All right. As I said, Advanced Networking, Solutions Architect Professional, and Security, bundle these together. Then DevOps Engineer and Security can be a bundle. You could add Alexa Skill Builder, but I kind of feel like I wouldn't bundle this together with anything. Then these four. Now, I bundled them together. I found that database and data analytics and big data, these have a lot of overlap. Big data has a bit of overlap with machine learning, but I find that machine learning is also, it's got the next level, right? It goes to the next level. So for me personally, this one is, the most difficult because machine learning is not really IT anymore in a lot of senses. It's more like science. It's more math. Yeah, that is it. So thank you very much for watching. In my next video, I'm gonna focus on how to extract the domains from the AWS certification guide for the exam itself. You're gonna see that's gonna be very fun, and this will help you study on your own. As I said in my previous video, you can study on your own. All the documentation is online, right? It does not cost you anything. All you need to know is how to extract the domains and then test yourself somehow, right? Test yourself, ask yourself questions. One really good way of doing things is just go to the frequently asked questions and see if you can understand, see if you can answer those facts on your own. If you can answer frequently asked questions, then your understanding of the service is at a pretty high level. So that's good. Second option, get a book. Right? Books has all the content aggregated for you. It's publicly available content. I'm not going to lie, this is publicly available content. All I did was made it more easy to understand by explaining it in depth and, of course, aggregating the right domains for the certification and adding some questions at the end. Some tables, some questions, some information about how to pass the exam and how to prepare for the exam. Level 3 is taking a course, right? So AWS courseware is designed to map a little bit to these domains. For each of these exams, you have an exam prep course. It's a one-day exam prep course. It just covers the domains and tells you which services fall into the domains. And you have a full 3-day course for a lot of these, like solutions architecture on AWS, AWS SysOps class, developing on AWS, DevOps engineering on AWS, solutions architect, advanced architecting on AWS, security on AWS. There's literally for all of these, there is a class. There isn't one for advanced networking. There isn't a class specifically for that. But for all of these, there are classes. So you can take that class. Now, Don't expect that you're going to get questions about stuff that was in the class. They're not going to test you whether you passed, whether you went into the class or not. They're actually going to test you on whether you can use those services. So for any preparation approach, always work with these services. Do labs, do tutorials, try to challenge yourself, try to give yourself a little bit of a challenge. If you want a challenge from me, um, I will definitely give you a challenge. Just hit me up on LinkedIn. I'll give you my LinkedIn information. Subscribe to my channel, and of course, check out my next videos coming up. There's going to be a lot of stuff about AWS certification. And of course, thank you very much for being with me. Thank you very much for watching until the end. I will see you in my next series. Bye.